Okay. Last year in grade 10 math, and every time I start with that, you're like, I don't remember. You did this equation solving, system of equation solving. Do you remember something like that? Okay. So, this is a question that you had in grade 10. You learned 3 methods of solving systems. You could graph them and then figure out where the 2 graphs intersected. You could substitute something in for the other, or you could stack them on top of each other and eliminate something. Do you remember those things?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to pick the elimination method to solve this question. So we have to either stack so that we're getting rid of the x's or the y's. Does one look easier than the other?
The y's.
The y's? Okay. So how do we match the y's up? What's our goal? We want both of them to be what kind of number then? What could we make them both into the same number? We could change them both to 12. So I'm going to times this equation by 4. Does that make sense what I'm doing? Because I'm trying to make that be a 12. And I'm going to times this one by 3. And then they're both into some kind of digit with a 12. It doesn't matter if they're the same as in positive or negative. So 8x times it by 4 plus 12y. Does anybody know 16 times 4 without their calculator?
Is it 64?
64.
Whoa,
Yep.
Lord, you got it.
Okay, timesing by 3 is 15x.
51.
Is it 51? Oh, I was trusting that you got it. 30. Yeah, it is.
Oh, I'm so smart. Big brain. Call that a number.
Okay, so now they're stacked up on top of each other. So here's my next question for you. To get rid of them, to make the y's be 0, would I add or subtract those numbers together? You would add. So now 8 plus 15 is 23x. Those are gone. Equals 115.
And then do we divide that by 23?
Now I would divide by 23. And x equals 5. Does this look kind of familiar now?
Honestly,
Okay. Now that we know x,
oh, and I found a y.
I have to figure out y. So what would I do with this x value?
Just take an equation and plug it in.
Plug it in. So to me, it doesn't matter, but looking at it, my math looks easier on the first one, just because then I don't have to deal with any subtractions. So I'm going to pick the first one. So 2 times, plug in the 5. 2 times x, but now I plug in the 5, plus 3y equals 16. And then this is all just math now, so figure out your algebra. So what does this really mean visually? Well, both of these equations in grade 10 would be lines. And then where do the 2 lines intersect? At the coordinate 5, 2. That's what that really means, right? That's what was happening. Okay, so in grade 11, we're going to do that, but we're going to up it a notch. So here's the grade 10. We did 2 equations with 2 variables. So in grade 11, we're going to do 3 equations with 3 variables. No. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is there's a lot going to happen here, so I'm going to organize by labeling. That's equation 1, that's equation 2, and that's equation 3. Okay, when you first look at this, is there a specific variable that looks easier to eliminate than any of the other ones?
Z.
Yes, the Z. So I'm going to eliminate the Z. Okay, I put little dashes through my Z so they don't get them mixed up with 2's. Okay, which 2 equations do you want to put together? You pick 2 equations, it doesn't matter. You pick. First one and the second one. So go ahead and write them out. Okay, we're picking Z. We're sticking to the Z. You can't deviate from this now. We've committed. What do you want to do? Add. So we need to add the 2 lines. So 3x plus 4y equals 11. I'm going to organize my work by calling this the 4th equation now. Okay, now we're going to repeat that exact same concept. We are going to eliminate Z because we've committed to the Z. Now you have to pick 2 different equations. So you could go 1 and 3 or 2 and 3. Those are your other options now. What do you want to do? I think I'm going to pick 1 and 3 because I want you to experience something different here. So we're going to pick 1 and 3. Okay, so why did I pick 1 and 3? Because how do I get rid of the Z's on this one? Subtract. Here's what I always tell everybody. If they look the same, subtract them. So if they were both plus, then you'd have to subtract. So if they're the same, you subtract. Okay, be careful here. What is 1x minus 3x? Negative 2x. Okay, here we go. This is a very tricky one. 1y subtract a negative 2. So that's adding. So that's 3y equals 4. Okay, organize it by labeling it number 5. Okay, now we're good. We got to grade 10. Now I have 2 equations with 2 variables. So now you know what to do from grade 10. Okay, so here, pretend we're starting a whole new problem. Take this equation and this equation. What do you want to get rid of, the x's or the y's? X's or y's, it doesn't matter. Let's pick x. So I'm going to try to make them both with a 6 value. So I'm going to times this one by 2, and I'm going to be timesing that one by 3.
Negative 3 or 3?
I'm just going to go with the 3. Okay, so this is okay. This is exactly from here on out is your grade 10 stuff. So, okay, very slow and steady on your test because the mistakes I see on a test are people who times by 3, but then they forget to times one thing by 3 or something like that. Rookie mistakes. So what do you want to do here? Add or subtract them? Add. So 17y equals 34. So now y equals 2. Okay, now that you have something, you're going to go plug it in and get something else, right? That was the kind of system we did before. Okay, if I know y, I'm going to think about it like this. Do you guys know what an hourglass kind of looks like?
Yeah.
I funneled it down to one variable, and now I'm going to start funneling it back up the page. So which equation should I go to if I'm working back up? I'm either going to go into equation 4 or 5. Why can't I go straight in to plug it here?
No, because it's not right. It's not.
I can't plug in y if I don't know x and z. That's not going to work to plug in there, right? So I'm going to go into equation 4 or 5 because if I know y, I can get x. So I'm picking equation 4. It doesn't matter 4 or 5. Sometimes you just think which one looks better in math, which one looks easier. So 3x plus 4, plug in y. Okay, I was getting a 1 on my algebra.
Wait. Oh, wait, no, you're right.
Okay, now remember we're kind of working our way back up the funnel. So where should I go now to make more plugins?
4, 5.
Equation 1, 2, or 3.
Probably 1 would make most sense.
The 1 is looking the easiest in a math. So I'm going to go into equation 1. So x, plug in, plus y, plug in, plus z. So I got a 3. And if I want to finalize my answer, I could write it as a coordinate 1, 2, 3. And you're thinking, well, how is that a coordinate? You have to visualize 3-dimensional graphing. You know how you can go sideways and up and down? The other dimension is coming in and out. 3-dimensional. Does that make sense? X, Y, Z. Yep. Alphabetical. Yep. Alphabet. So that's what it looks like when you do a 3D graph. No, you would do that in like calculus at university or something.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, I had to do that. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, first thing I do is start my organizing. So I got 1, 2, and 3 equations. Next thing I do is I commit to eliminate What do you want to commit to here? Which one looks the easiest? You got to do it twice. Z? Yep. I think X or Z. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick X just to say we did something different. Okay. So I'm going to commit to eliminating X. And we have to do it twice. Which two equations would make the most sense to you right away? 1 and 3 would be easy right away, right? 1 and 3 would be easy to get rid of x's, right? Because they're both just an x. Okay, so write out 1 and 3. And what do we want to do? Add together or subtract? You should pick subtracting, right? Because x minus x is gone. Okay, I'm going to let you do the math here. This is where you have to be very careful because subtracting negatives make you add. So go for it. Yep. Okay, how did it go? Did we get the same? A 5, a negative 2, and a 19? Okay, let's pick. We have to go 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. Which ones do you want to do? 1 and 2. Before I write them out, do you see what I want to do here? I want to times this by 2 to match that. So this is what I'm going to do before I organize stuff. Equation 1, I'm going to double it because I'm trying to match. Okay, so 2x, 4y minus 6z and 22. Make sure you double everything. Okay, and that was okay. I doubled equation 1, and then I put it together with equation 2. Okay, looks like I'm going to subtract again, because they're the same. Okay, so on your test, this is where you go slow and steady, just making sure your numbers are right. So I got a 3 and a negative 7 and a 23. Is somebody matching? Okay, so now it's grade 10. So you're going to be putting 4 and 5 together. So you have, it doesn't really matter, you could change the y's both to be 15, or you could change the z's to be 14. What do you want to pick? The y's or the z's? Doesn't matter. Should we do the y's? Okay, so I'm going to times this by 3 and times this by 5. Okay, so now the y's are set up to eliminate, and you have to talk about if you're going to add or subtract to get rid of them. So it would be a subtract. Okay, anybody working their algebra through and getting a -2?
Yep. I already did it all.
Okay, so now we start the funnel up process. That we funneled down to one variable, so now we got to funnel back up. So where do you go working back out of this? You go to the fourth or the fifth equation. So if you have z, you can get y. This, I don't know, nothing really looks easier than the other, so I'm going to just go to equation 4. 5y minus 2, plug in z. Okay, work through your algebra on your own. Okay, funnel yourself back out again. Where do you go now when you're working back out? 1, 2, or 3, and does something look easier? Not really. I don't know. 2? Okay. So I'm going to pick equation 2. 2x plus y plus z equals -1. And then finish off with your algebra here. You can always check your answer, because if you plug these numbers into any of the 3 equations, they all should work out. So this is me writing my answer in the coordinate x, comma y, comma z. Okay, so like I said, you can check your answer. If you plug these numbers into any equation, so does your answer also match for equation 1? So if you go -1 plus 2 times -3, subtract 3 times -2, it should equal 11. And it didn't. What happened there? Oh, +3, thank you. That's why. Okay, so if you plug in the correct numbers, you should get 11. -1 plus 2 times 3, subtract 3 times -2 should equal 11.
Woo!
And it did. Okay? And also the same when you plug it into the third equation.